Baitu, I'm just going to quickly cover base mechanics for you again. It's going to be a quick one. Not going to go through the Omega details of all of it.
It's fine.
Okay. Well, maybe it's just a reminder for all tanks because you all got to touch some of the horsemen. So let me just go back to, I'll keep this short, I promise. Just go back to my base presentation. So yeah, just remember for the horsemen, they both have double shield wall. This is not really significant for US tanks. It's just one thing to, be aware of. They have an enrage after 100 marks, which, well, let's not get there. we'll be dead if we get to 100. And they summon their own spirits when they die, but this is all not tank specific. Then let's talk marks again quickly so you just understand how that works if you haven't watched the other video or if it's unclear for some reason. So on pull, we have no marks for 20 seconds, right? So every 20 seconds, after 20 seconds, they will be starting to casting their own marks, which is every 12 seconds. You can see here the information on the radios change from like source to source that you use. Some say 60, some say 45. I think 45 is more accurate. 60 seems like a bit of an overkill. But the reason it is important is that we need to make sure that we drag the horsemen into the corner of each side. So we can look at the map in just a second, especially for Blue Mo, because that's the only boss that has to be moved around. But just make sure that you don't randomly drag a horse somewhere where it's not supposed to be. So the safest option is always as far away from the raid as possible. We can talk about specific corners and spots, but just as a general rule of thumb, like never let it come close to people that should not be involved because they will get a mark applied if they get unlucky. Okay. Debuff lasts 75 seconds, so whenever you get another mark applied, the debuff will go up to 75 seconds again. So just keep that in mind in terms of mispositioning. So anything that if you're supposed to drop one and you walk into a horseman, you shouldn't be walking into, your mark will go back to 75 seconds, and then you get the debuff again. The damage of each mark is only applied in the second where it ticks on you. So the damage is not at the end of a mark, it's always at the beginning of a mark. So every 12 seconds is where damage will be applied if you are nearby a horseman. For US tanks and warriors, except for Pike in that scenario, it's important to note that death stance will also mitigate the damage of the mark. When you're tanking, you all will be in death stance. Again, Pike, you'll just have to take the 100%. There's no other mitigation for you as a druid, except for GSPP that can lower the damage. There's also a 50% threat cut on each tick. Just keep that in mind as well. It's more important for the mages to understand than for you to understand. So everybody will get the same threat reduction, but a mage in safe spot, for example, that has an ignite rolling needs to be aware of this so they can drop their ignite early enough. But I think the mages already figured that out themselves.
It should be a mage problem.
Yeah, exactly. It's a mage problem. I just want you to understand that threat drop is also, just happening, just so you are aware. So it's 50% of your total threat that's going to be, taken off every single mark every 12 seconds. As it says here, it's unresistible shadow damage. So shadow resistance gear doesn't help. Only death stance and GSPP will mitigate damage. There's no resist. One thing for you that's important to understand is how much damage the marks deal. So first one is always free. It will never deal any damage to you. Second is 250. The third one is 1,000. The fourth one is 3k. The fifth is 5k. And then it's 1k additional damage on each mark. So for US tanks, this is important, or more important to understand than DPS players or healers. So most people in the raid, except maybe the first horseman or the second, but even on the second, it's probably already solved after 3. Most people will never stack more than 3 marks. US tanks, that's a bit specific in Giant, and I will talk about it, but you most likely take or are able to take more. First, your HP pool is higher. Second, everybody except Pike has shield wall, or maybe not. We'll talk about the specifics of that as well. But yeah, just understand that you can take more marks and you might need to take more marks than a DPS player who will usually stick to a rule of 3 marks per boss. So just be aware of that. Understand how these damage numbers works. It's important that you know how much it's going to hit you for. So you can either pre-GSPP when it's up. You can also shield wall the mark damage. That's the last, mitigating way that you have to lower that damage. So just be aware of those things and understand how it works. You can do, quick napkin math throughout the fight. If you're like, oh shit, I have 5 stacks. Okay, the sixth is about to hit. It's going to be 6k. How much life do I have? Do I have shield wall? Those kind of things have to be on your mind when you're tanking a horseman.
I'll just step in and
Yep.
say, like for now, that both neither Baitu nor Potrachin should have shield wall. Just FYI, because you
Yes,
will wreck on first guy.
exactly. So you will not have shield wall, which is not a problem. Will not let you tank, that far in. Will relieve. We like it's on giants in my mind to relieve you earlier than a store war or bike. Like sorry, now I keep saying bike. So bike obviously doesn't have shield wall, but he has a massive HP pool. Um, I don't know, Pike, how much HP do you have fully buffed? Like 14k or something ridiculous?
No, I think it's 13.
Yeah,
or-
okay. But so yeah, 6 marks for you is going to be a 50% drop, which is, usually not that scary for a tank. You guys are used to this, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the mark mechanics as a very general how they work. Before we go forward into tank specifics, does anyone not understand how the marks work, what they do, what the proximity is? Any questions around that? Then let's clear that out now so we can, move into more detailed shit.
So, just to be sure, every horseman like gives an individual mark, so I have to
Yes.
reset the marks before I go on to the next one. Or
No.
what?
So if you, let's say, have Cortez marks, that will individually stack as long as you're in the proximity of Cortez. If you're supposed
Okay.
to move to Blumeau, Blumeau is gonna add Blumeau marks to you. So you start at one, like mark 1 at Blumeau.
Okay.
So the damage is not shared across the marks. Total marks do not matter. So if you have, let's say, 3 of Cortez and you run into Blumeau, it's not gonna count as 4. It's gonna count as 1 on Blumeau.
Okay.
Yep. So it's good to understand that. Good question. So you don't accidentally, think you're gonna kill yourself or don't go where you're supposed to go.
So and the marks only tick when you get another mark, right? So they just
Exactly.
yeah.
So there is a timer running. There's gonna be DBM timers for marks every 12 seconds. Exactly on the 12th second when it's going off, that's when you take the damage. After that, you have 12 seconds of nothing happening.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll quickly talk over the individual mechanics of each horseman. Not all of you are going to tank all of them. Maybe it's just good to know, no matter what. So Cortez is an important one. Cortez is going to be the first one that, well, Giant is going to tank first. Baitu and Potrachin, you are going to DPS on this boss. So you have no tanking business at the beginning of the fight. You are DPS warriors, for the first, I don't know, minute of the fight, maybe a bit less. But he has a meteor mechanic. So on meteor, we'll have a ranged camp and we'll have a melee camp. The one thing that's and giant, I've double checked this last night with EXO because I wasn't aware, and it's good to know. The meteor will always hit on mark timer, so it's not random. It's not a
Yes.
cooldown where he like might cast it or might not cast it. He will always cast it with the mark. So every 12 seconds, meteor is gonna hit. The meteor works the same way as the one that we have in Osirian. Sorry, just misclicked. My bad. Sorry, Piranha. So it's working the same way as the Osirian trash. So the more people are stacked, the less damage will take because it's going to be distributed to all people in proximity of the meteor. So ranged are safe if they stay in their camp. Melee stay safe if they're in their camp. Why is this important for you? Well, some people of you have to run out. So Baitu and Potrachin, you probably have to run out early. Giant is gonna, or Giant and I are gonna tell you, when and what is happening on Cortez. But what you have to make sure of is that you understand that you cannot just like randomly run out. If you just randomly select a time to run out when you shouldn't, that meteor might single hit you and then you'll die. So The only time you ever walk out on Cortez is after the meteor has landed. Then you have 12 seconds to run away. Okay.
One question, Frenny.
Mhm.
He stops casting meteor when he dies, right? That's just
Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay, good.
Yeah.
So, like, let's say Mark 3 is gonna hit, but he dies before Mark 3. Then he's never gonna cast meteor.
Correct.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Good.
I have a question. When they die, they still need to be tanked, or they just
No,
like stay
No,
in the
it's
place
just a
they died?
it's just a ghost that's standing in the corner where it last died.
Oh, okay.
So
Okay.
they will still apply the marks, but they don't run around. They don't have to be tanked. They're off. We're done with them. They just stand there.
So they basically do nothing but add the mark to people who are close.
Yes, but that might sound like it's a very simple thing, but if we watch the Frontier clip, you can see people who still had stacks on because it's 75 seconds to drop. That's a long time, right?
Ah.
That's like a minute and 15
Yeah,
seconds
yeah.
or whatever. So
Minute
some people
25.
run into a boss area where the boss has already died, but they get an additional mark applied on top of what they already had, and then they just eat, I don't know, 4 or 5k damage and just die from that. So people need to understand where the safe spot is and never leave the safe spot unless they're supposed to be somewhere else. So yes, it will only apply the mark, but it can still be dangerous if people don't pay attention to how much stacks they have.
Ho-
But yeah, so go ahead.
I was just wondering how big the zone is for the marks, like for each boss. This
Like I said, it's like
proximity.
I'll give you a visual of that, but it's somewhere between 45, 50 yards roughly. So
Okay.
the safe zone is going to be very, very small in terms of where we can be without getting a mark.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, keep in mind there's a meteor. Again, if you get single targeted by the meteor because you run when you're not supposed to run and he's targeting you, then there's nothing we can do for you. You can maybe petri it, but that would be a very quick petri if you realize. So better just pay attention to your marks and remember, meteor is always going to be cast exactly when the mark is supposed to hit, never random. Okay, so just keep that in mind. For Mograine, which is really just an issue for Giant and Dazo, it's very unlikely any of the other tanks will see Mograine alive. Um, but just keep it in mind still. This is the probably hardest hitting of all the Four Horsemen. So this guy has a 25% melee proc chance to deal additional fire damage, plus adding a dot of 4.8k fire damage over 8 seconds. So this guy really slaps. Dazo specifically, who's going to be tanking him first, is going to wear fire resistance gear, at least partially, to mitigate this, because he has to tank him for quite a bit until Giant can, come and relieve. If you get Giga unlucky on this guy, he will just proc one after the other and deal like massive damage. So the healers, will need to look out for that tank. Again, none of you except for Giant will probably have to tank this guy because we have a set rotation that will exclude you and will make sure to nuke this guy second. So the kill order is going to be Cortez into Mograine, and then we'll get to the rest. But this is what this guy does, nothing else. No meteors.
Just to preface, Baitu, you might tank this one if shit goes really bad. Like,
Okay.
just telling you, if you ever taunt this guy, you must wear a shield.
Good point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, but
You
the rest of the
the
guys don't
thing
have to have a shield on or what?
you should
Or
have a shield on when you're tanking. But
Okay.
this guy you absolutely must have if you're taunting this guy. If for any reason you taunt this guy, you must wear a shield.
Okay.
Let me just I'll just
But
leave
it's
it
just
here.
like good practice to have a shield on whenever
Yeah.
you're tanking something in this fight. They're not gonna like one hit you or so. It's like they hit for like 1.5k damage
Yeah.
when they hit you. It's
So
not hard.
what you need to keep in mind by too as well, or any tank for that reason. So whenever you walk into a horseman for relief, so relief is what Giant and I will refer to if you're taunting off a horseman for another tank, right? So the whole idea of this fight is that healers have their rotation, DPS have their rotation, and you have your rotation. So for tanks, it's crucial for you to sometimes step in for another tank to come in, taunt the horseman off, so the other tank can go to safe spot and drop their stacks, right? So we are changing tanks in each corner depending on how many are alive and how many tanks we have. So this is the basic idea of how that fight works. We have a very specific strategy on how we're gonna execute this, at least for this attempt. It's not really applicable as a solution for every time we do it. If we are going to continue doing it. But for this time, we have a very set rotation that is almost, timed second for second. What was I about to say? Oh yeah, so for Fred, Giant, correct me here, but the shield tanking isn't too big of an issue because you're overtaking the threat of the first tank. So unless the tank has been, caught up to very quickly, which shouldn't be the case, because again, remember DPS players are likely to run out after 3 marks, so they only have 30 seconds to kind of DPS until they have to leave. So you have no consistent bashing the boss like we have it on the tank and spank bosses where people catch up in execute phase. So when you come to relief, you'll take over the existing threat, and then you're just with a shield, you should be fine just spamming, I don't know, heroic strike or whatever you have to do.
Yeah, for no other, like, horses will most likely die when I am there, Stulwar is there, or Daiso is there. For the rest of you, the horse won't probably die when you are there. And if it
Yeah.
is, it's probably celiac, and that would be the last one. And
Yeah.
then it doesn't matter.
I just want to give you like a sense of security, like just shield tank
Yes.
it, you'll be fine. And if threat looks bad, which for some reason can maybe happen, then just call it out, and then people need to fucking stop, right?
And then you can
So
taunt again, because they're tauntable. If it's
Yeah.
on
Yeah.
you and you like you see someone is gonna just come up, or like, someone is gonna catch up and you're not getting relief like right that second, you can just keep taunting if you
Yeah.
want.
the problem is just people, and that's not just the tanks. That's everyone need to understand that these horsemen cannot run loose. If there's threat issues and these run into closer to safe spot, it's really bad.
Yeah.
So people need to understand that it's always the better option to stop DPS early if they're catching up in threat, and then just leaving, than pumping it, because it's not a DPS race. We can out sustain this fight for a long, long time. So people need to
After
understand
first
that.
2 horses are dead.
Yeah, exactly.
First 2 horses need to die, then we're like giga safe.
Okay, let's talk about Bleumo. So Bleumo is the one boss, well, not the one boss, but like this is the only boss that has to be moved around. So Bleumo will just randomly spawn these void zones underneath people. If that's underneath you as a tank, you'll have to move the boss. We can look at the map and where to position, but this is very individual. This really depends on where's the void zone, where are you, where's the boss. So this is something that you all kind of have to make up on the fly. It's nothing we can do for you. You just need to do the right thing, which is always not run towards the raid. Like maybe for a split second where you have to run around void zones, you can do that, but it should never be, oh, I'm gonna just tank this like Bloomo on this off spot here because it's the safest for me. No, this is like it has to be the safest for the raid, not the safest for you. These void zones last for 90 seconds. They're these big like black zones underneath. You'll see them easily, like they're easy to spot, but they deal like a lot of damage. You can see here 4 to almost 5k, and it's almost instant. So you don't have much time. You have like 1.5 seconds to move out before it's gonna hit you. As a
You
single
get a
mechanic,
DBM notifier for it. Be
yeah.
like
So
void zone under you, then you know, okay, I have to move now. So then you
exactly,
can just start pre-moving or so.
yeah. So as a single mechanic, it's not going to hit you, but keep in mind you're also stacking marks. So if you don't move out the void zone and I don't know, mark 4 or 5 is hitting you plus the void zone, then you might just like get one shot. So you have to be aware to move early, and what your mark counter looks like. In a perfect scenario, you'll never eat one of the void zones. You'll just be moving.
How big did you say the voice ones were?
I'll show you in a video. I don't know how big.
Okay.
I would say
They're
like
like my hitbox when I
Okay.
am Winterfall Firewatcher. Kind
yeah,
of. That gives you a rough idea.
yeah. They are fairly big.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, and then we have Zeliek, Last Horseman. This guy doesn't really do much in terms of melee damage. He's normal hitting, still wear shield, but he has a chain lightning mechanic, which is the same as Venoxus in Zul'Gurub. So we can never, 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 never chain this mechanic into anyone after a couple of bounces. It will just wipe people. If we're unlucky, it will wipe the raid if people are mispositioned or if they are too close to one another. So for Zeliek, same principle applies. Tank him as far away from the raid as possible. No melees except tanks are ever going to touch Zeliek, so you don't have to be afraid of people accidentally chaining it into other people. It will only be tanks as melees on Zeliek. There's going to be one healer spot. There's going to be one range DPS spot. This is out of range for the chain lightning to even hit them unless you move it towards them. So as a tank, make sure to never bring it close to the healers and never bring it close to the ranged camp. You should have a set spot that should never change. There's no void zones. There's no reason for you to move with this boss, right? So just keep it where it is. Take it over from the other tanks. We'll talk about positions, but just make
Pike,
sure
you just shove it into the corner on
Yeah.
initial. That's
yeah.
your
So Pike,
job.
you'll be initially tanking Zeliek.
Yeah.
So for you, it's just as far away. There's a specific corner. We'll show you where we'll tank him. Okay, so this is the base mechanics of each individual horseman and the marks. Is there any questions around the mechanics before we move further?
Can just hold a note for celiac. We're gonna talk about how you're gonna walk and stuff. For celiac, it's important to
Yes.
know how
Yes.
to walk, but
Yeah.
we'll take that when we start drawing and stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so we've mapped out like rotations for DPS and healers, and I've also mapped out a tank rotation. This might not be as up to date as what Giant's idea of the fight is. Giant has looked into this tank specifically more than I have. But generally, so on pull, like I said, we have 20 seconds to pick them up and drag them into their corners. So these 20 seconds are crucial because that's your time to kind of do the right thing, walk with the healers, get your horsemen into your corner. So they'll all be standing at the safe spot, kind of. For the people in the back section, so that's going to be Stalwart and Pike on pull, you'll have a bit less time to position them correctly because your walking way is a bit further, but it's not an issue. I don't want to, make you freak out about it. Just, your way is a bit longer to walk, but it's still easily in the time frame.
Side jump the boss though. Don't backpedal. You have to
Yeah.
sidewalk it.
Yeah, good point. Um,
Can you say the
So
last part
he
again,
is-
Giant? Say the last part again.
Sidewalk. That's not for you. Like it's gonna be
Oh.
positioned when.
yeah, this is for
Okay.
Pike and Stalwart, Giant and Dazer.
Okay, perfect.
Okay, so the way we've mapped this out is Mograine and Cortez are going to get nuked. So Cortez, this is bottom left. Let me close the presentation and let's get to the drawing board at least for a bit. Just gonna quickly open up the Four Horsemen map. Okay, so this is the map for Four Horsemen. So I'm just gonna start here. So the safe spot, this area, this is where the Four Horsemen are also located roughly here. So they stand by the steps of the room. This is down here is where we enter. So this is the entrance, okay? So first horseman is going to be picked up. It's going to be Cortez. It's going to move into the left bottom corner. The same applies for all the other bosses. Mograine is going to be in the bottom right corner. Blue Mo, which is going to be Stalwart's target, is going to be moving to the top left corner. And Pike, you pick your guy up, which is Zeliek, that moves to the top left corner, right corner. Okay.
Mm.
So I'm just gonna. This is Blue Mo. So I'm not gonna color code this. I'm just gonna do it in. This is Blue Mo. This is Zeliek. This is Mograine. And this is Cortez. Okay, so this is the tank positions. Again, as Strand said, sidestep them into your corner and then just take them. This is the corners. This is the room setup. Exactly how it looks. This is your corner. So Cortez can be literally taken into this corner down here. This Giant knows this. Mograine is the same. Zeliek. It's always one set corner. It's this one. And then Blue Mo, Stalwart, you'll have to move around depending on where the void zones are, at least at the beginning when you're pulling them first. Okay.
And Potrachen and Baitu, you just come with me and we kill Cortez.
Yes.
So I'll just delete what we did here and let's play a pull scenario. So on pull, all DPS, that's everyone in the raid except for the healers and the tanks for their respective corners. So your healers will always be located by these pillars over here. So if you're Stalwart, this is your healers. If you Bike, this is your healers. Same as for Mograine. On pull, all melees will be down here with Giant and all ranged and healers will be in this camp back here. This is for Meteor, right? So the tactic that we're going to play, and this is the most established for Horseman tactic except speedrunning tactics, is we're going to focus all, initial DPS on Cortez to get him out the way as quickly as possible. What we're going to do is we're going to split cooldowns on all warriors and rogues. So half of all warriors and rogues, this is including you, Potrachin, and Baitu, you'll be using recklessness on this boss to pump as much damage as possible early before you have to leave. Everybody else who's going to stay will keep pumping their damage until this boss is dead. This usually should happen by, I don't know, Mark 4 maybe. Maybe even by Mark 3
Wait, sorry, say that again.
when they die.
Oh, he's gonna die on Mark 3.
Yes. So
Yeah.
it's 3 if we are a bit slower, maybe on 4.
Freni, if we will use recklessness, so we will not have a shield wall.
Yes.
Yeah, but
Yes.
for you, that won't be a problem. It's only for the initial, which is Stolwar and Deso, that might
Yeah.
be a problem.
Okay.
So the reason we do this protection is, firstly, we need your DPS, but secondly, you and Baitu, because we know you don't have shield wall, you'll get relief earlier than a main tank would, right? So when we talk about relief, you probably will always get relief after Mark 3 unless there's absolutely something going wrong. But if we see a third mark on you, then I'll send in another tank to relieve you. Because I know you're in a more DPS style gear, you probably have less HP. So we are aware of this. We're going to keep you safer than other tanks, so you get relief earlier. For both these reasons, no cooldowns and your gear, right? So once we've killed Cortez on Mark, let's say 3, what's going to happen is, this is just general, this is not for tanks yet. So DPS players are going to move over here.
You
Is
have
my
to
light?
stop before he dies. So
Yeah,
because
yeah.
Potrachon is gonna move before.
Let's do it in a second.
Okay.
I want them to understand what the rest of the raid is doing.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
DPS are gonna move over to Mograine, and they're gonna DPS on Mograine. This is for all DPS players except you, Baitu and Potrachin. So you guys will need to leave earlier because remember we are on Mark 3 now. Your DPS would be nice on Mograine, but we can't afford it because we need you to relieve. So what's going to happen now is that, and Giant, will you need to tell me at what mark you want them to leave? Or we
So
want
for
them to leave?
Baitu, he will leave when it dies,
Mm-hmm.
never before. But Potrachon will leave earlier. So let's see if I count backwards now. It should be around. It depends on when shield wall hits. Like, so this is the variable for the fight. Like, you have used your cooldowns, so you probably Death Wish on pull, and you recklessness before, like somewhere in the middle of Mark 1. Once your cooldowns are out and a mark has hit, you leave. And it should be probably Mark 2. So when Mark 2 hits, you book it over to Celiac.
That's Potarkin, right?
That's
Okay.
Potrachon. You buy 2, you just wait until it dies, and then you
Yeah.
leave.
Okay.
So when Cortez dies, let's do Baitu first. Giant, help me out here. Baitu is gonna relieve for Blumo, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay, so for you, Baitu, you can do a straight line up. You don't have to walk over to safe spot. It doesn't make a difference for you. You can just straight up walk this red line on the screen, and go taunt off for Stalwart.
Yep.
Stalwart, for you, that means you'll have to either walk back to safe spot or relieve somewhere else, right? Because there's your job is done, at least for this portion of the fight. So you'll probably walk back to safe spot, or you could relieve Pike on
Draw. Don't do a line for him now, because timing wise, this works out quite nicely, because at this moment when Baitu is up here, Potrachon is already up top left on Celiac.
Yeah.
Because he left earlier.
Let's do Potrachin. Let's do Potrachin as well, so we
Right.
can see it.
Yeah.
So this is probably Baitu, your red line is probably Mark 3/4. So this is when Cortez is dead. This is anywhere between Mark 3 and 4, depending on our DPS. And this is where you walk up. So Potrachin is gonna walk out at, let's say we said Mark 2.
Yeah, when Mark II has hit, so the meteor's out, everything, you just leg it Celiac.
So let's say here Mark 2, no meteor. So Potrachin, keep in mind, you have to wait for meteor to go out first. It's exactly on Mark 2. So you use your recklessness pretty much on pull, just a couple of seconds after.
Okay.
Then you DPS through Mark 1, and when Mark 2 hits shortly after, or when it hits, and Meteor is gone, you have 12 seconds to leave until Mark 3 would be a prioritize. So those 12 seconds is when you start walking out. So you're walking, and this is the tank line for the tank path for Ziliak. Everybody needs to know this in case we need you later on in the fight. You can always just walk back to a safe spot, but from safe spot out, there's a specific path you have to take. So this path is always going to be this. So you walk cross over to this wall, and then you just take this curve into the corner. The reason we do this is because there is a ranged DPS camp up here. Oh, sorry, this is supposed to be circle. There's a ranged camp for DPS up here, and there's a healer camp set up here. So you cannot just randomly walk in and out the boss. This is also why we don't send any melees in. This path is safe for you to walk through without ever chaining a chain lightning into anyone else, right? So if he's casting chain lightning when you walk out, no issue because it's not going to hit anyone. If you walk in and he chain lightnings you, which he never should, but just hypothetically, that's also going to apply. So as long as you follow this path, you'll be safe to not kill anyone with chain lightning. So keep this path is when you come from safe spot, it's just straight over behind that pillar, follow the wall and then pick it up over here. Very easy. Just don't forget it. So this is the path only for Zilek. Every other boss can be approached from any other corner. It doesn't matter. Yeah, let's just keep it at that and not confuse people.
Frenia,
when-
way back is the same, right?
Yes,
Okay.
it's the same way back in and out.
When
Yeah, so when you leave, you just come back to safe spot from Celiac.
Yes. Pike?
when Potrachin takes Celiac, I go to safe spot or I take another.
Yes. You go
Okay.
to safe spot.
You just
Then
go
I
there,
will
Pike,
be
and
ready.
you wait for Frenny. If anything happens, you'll be like the backup, basically.
Yeah.
Okay, the backup
So I'll
for
keep you in
one of
safe
the
spot,
other.
Pike, and then I'll send you somewhere if I need to send you somewhere.
Okay.
Hopefully, it does not need to happen. But like, let's say we are giga unlucky on something, then you're just gonna go charge there and taunt.
Yeah. Okay.
So
The
keep
good thing,
10 rage. Is it
yeah.
what they need? Yeah.
He can always just power shift.
Okay.
So Pike has the luxury of always being able to power shift and always getting 10 rage. He needs 5 for charge.
Yeah.
So Pike can just sit in safe spot and kind of again be a goalie. So if one horseman should run loose and the tank is not able to catch up or whatever else happens, Pike you could just unless it's the same horseman you already tanked, then you shouldn't do it, or you
Yeah.
must be careful doing it. But yeah, that's kind of the backup tank for that scenario. Okay. So I don't want to do a mark by mark counter for now because it's very long and can be very confusing, and we're almost like speculating a bit. For now, let's just I'll just why is this not working? Okay.
I mean, I'll take each and every one of you individually, like your path, like your expected path that you're gonna do, whenever like Frenny is
Yeah.
done with the general
Yeah.
picture. So you
So-
have like your specific path set.
I know it's going to sound like I'm talking to idiots. I just want this to be clear so we don't lose anyone, right? Because we can't afford to like lose people. If you ever find yourself in safe spot, and that can happen, right? At some stage you'll have to drop stacks and get ready for relief on another boss. Just keep in mind you can never return back to the same boss that you came from for the next rotation. So that's never going to happen unless you idle for 75 seconds. So if you're in safe spot and you just came from Blue Mo, all these other 3 bosses are options for you, but not Blue Mo. So this is a no-go zone. You can't go back. Al might call you, Giant might call you to go to in a different corner, pick something up. It's never the same boss again that will, eventually kill you. So just keep in mind, even if you have stacks on you, unless it is the stacks from the corner you just came from, you're free to go somewhere else. You can stack up to 3, 4 again. These marks are not shared across, they're all individual. So if you walk back here and take 3 marks while you take your, I don't know, 4k damage or whatever the number is in that corner. But yeah, just keep that in mind. Let me just quickly read a couple of notes in my presentation before we maybe do this is how it's probably going to look like scenario. Just
I
so
just
I
have one question.
for
We
it, go
go full migration gear on this one, right? Even though we're gonna DPS in the start.
No, you don't have to. You
Okay.
just full Sug. They don't hit that hard at all.
Okay.
So it's like whenever you are on a boss, you slap on a shield, and that's more than enough.
Just maybe one thing to also, make you feel safer about this. You have 4 healers in each corner, so it's not important for you how the healer rotation works, but they run a clockwise, circle in which you'll always have a replacement healer. So there's always going to be 4 healers at each, time, either 3 or 4. That are mainly just healing the tank. So you have 4 healers in your back. They shouldn't really be healing much else than you, because nobody should be taking damage except for mark damage, or if it's Blumo, taking void zone damage. But otherwise, it's strictly tank healing. People can get healed on safe spot or heal themselves on safe spot. So most of the
They can bandage safe
healers,
spots, yeah.
yeah. So most of the healers should just be on a tank. They should never be on DPS players for
Okay, good.
Let me just quickly read my notes here. We covered all this. Maybe just one specific thing as a general thing. So taunt obviously can be resisted, as you know. So if we get unlucky and we get a taunt resist in a corner, whatever, we need to make sure we do a proper handover. So if a taunt resists, then obviously the relief tank cannot just the other tank cannot just leave, because we need to still get the mob onto the other tank. So if that ever happens, you need to make sure to use your cooldowns right. So we do have a bit of space to do double taunt, I guess, without having to do much else. What that means is if you taunt it first and the taunt fails, you should just wait on taunt cooldown to taunt again. Remember, mocking blow and AoE taunt will not transfer threat. They will only, give you the
Keep it.
they
Okay.
will only give you temporary threat, where they will look at you for the set time of mocking blow or AoE taunt, but it will jump back to the initial taunt because it's not transferred. Only taunt does transfer threat. So if a taunt fails, you should wait for a second taunt and then taunt again.
The only one this can be scary for initially is Stool War. And you'll have potion, you'll have shield wall, so you can take like up to mark 8 in the worst case scenario, basically. So just
This
like,
is especially important on Zeliek. So if you don't get a tank transfer on Zeliek and he's gonna run towards the initial tank because it hasn't been transferred properly, then a chain lightning might be cast onto someone and then like chain into the raid, and that can, like I said, wipe us. So on Zeliek, it's ultra important we do proper handovers, take some more time. I don't want to say. I mean, I think I have to say it, and this is gonna sound very unhardcore, but if we get extremely unlucky, I would almost expect you to die rather than doing something stupid. And this sounds very harsh, and I hope this doesn't happen, but we should not consider a wipe over losing one person. This is because you can't pet read. There's nothing you can do to get out if we get triple taunt resist or whatever stupid shit might happen. We'll need to find a on the fly solution if that should ever happen. But don't just like randomly run out of bosses. Make sure we have a proper handover and taunt. We see threat tables and know, okay, it's safe for me to leave. Yeah, I don't hope the scenario ever happens, and it's very unlikely to happen. But yeah, I can't put it in any better words than I would expect you to die for the guild than considering wiping us, if that makes sense.
But like, just to be sure, right? If you get a taunt resist and you don't get the threat transferred, then you can hold aggro for 12 seconds with Mock and Blow and then into AoE zone, right?
if it lands. But if one of
If
them
both land,
resists,
then you're fucked. That's true.
then the raid is fucked.
Yeah, then everything is fucked. Yeah, that makes sense. So if a taunt resists, the initial tank does not leave until the threat is transferred by a normal taunt.
Yeah.
Good. That's good to know.
But
So-
then, like, if we remember threat mechanics and so on, isn't it true, Frenny, that Petri wipes your threat? So if the other person is second, you can wipe your threat with a Petri. Isn't that true?
That should be true.
So just like have it should never like reach that point or whatever. And
Mm.
if you think of it in the moment, good for you.
Yeah.
But this is like a highly unlikely scenario that you would have to stay for 1 taunt resist, 2 taunt resist, 3 taunt resist, and
What you
both
need to
like me, Stool, and Deso has the 5% hit from 4-piece, right? You do, Stool War? You have
Yeah,
4
yeah,
set?
I have four
Yeah.
pieces, yeah.
So if it's ever me, Stool, or Deso coming in, we're most likely gonna hit our taunts. Like,
Yeah.
it's like
So
1 in 100 that we don't hit it.
So it's actually only the biggest issue is when we are gonna have to relieve you.
Yes.
yes.
But remember, me, Stool, Deso, we have shield wall also.
Yeah,
So,
you can
like,
take a lot of damage.
yes, like I don't think anyone should be freaking out for this or so because
Yeah, yeah.
like, and we will have Pike as backup after like the first initial handover. Like the first initial handover is like the scariest one in that sense because that's when it's like a lot of moving pieces. After the first boss is dead and Deso is coming over to relieve you by 2, then it's almost locked.
Okay.
So the beginning is the scariest. The more horsemen are dead, the easier this gets, and the more tanks we free up. Right? If there's only Blue Mo and Zeliek, which can be very early in the fight, we have 6 tanks to work with, kind of. So it's
And the fight is long. It's almost like a 6-minute fight or so. So
Yeah.
like be ready to like be on your toes and just move when you need to and so on.
Yeah. Just one more thing I want to get back to is the Petri thing. So yes, you could use Petri to wipe your threat, but then again, if you just randomly Petri, and you don't, the threat hasn't been transferred, then he will just run for someone random. And on Zeliek, again, this can cause a wipe. So don't just randomly Petri. Make sure it's a very conscious, clever decision of okay, shit, because the mark damage cannot be Petried. So marks go through Petri. You cannot just be clever and be like, oh, I'm just gonna Petri this mark and also drop my threat. No, the mark will hit you through Petri. So if there's 7k damage on mark 7 coming in and you try to Petri it, you'll get 7k damage and you might die. So just keep this in mind, please. The Petri transfer thing should really just be a, 1 out of a
It's
1,000 scenario
million.
where,
Yeah,
yeah,
it's
yeah.
like it's so unlikely that would happen, but I just thought of it now. So
Yeah, but then
I
again,
just felt
remember
like
if you wipe your own threat and there's a DPS player on second, and he will run for that person even if the first tank kind of petried because the threat table just works the way it works. So unless you're already in second, which it's almost impossible for you to catch up to because DPS players will be there DPSing. Yeah, so it's a very low chance, low. Yeah,
it doesn't hold long enough.
you could target
That's
dummy, but it doesn't. Yeah, like Giant says, I don't think
it
does it
doesn't hold
for
long
us.
enough, and that's the problem. Like, but it's only the initial handover that's the like, let's say, issue in this fight. But we have potion cooldowns up. You will not like for the first 3, almost 4 marks. You won't take any mark damage because you pre-potted GSPP, and in the fight you're just gonna hold your GSPP for whenever you're gonna take like a high mark. And for you, that's like might vary. For myself, I might call a high mark 6, but for like buy 2 Potajo, that might be mark 5 or so. Like, and for Pike, you can only do it when you're leaving and you're gonna get a mark and then shift it in again, right?
Yeah.
So it's like it's variable, but like define a high mark for yourself. What are you willing to just take raw, and when do you have to like potion one and so on?
Yeah.
But you'll have
So
like 2 potion cooldowns up in this fight.
yeah, exactly. So GSPP, remember that is your biggest, friend in this fight.
Yeah, and don't
Um,
pre-pop it. Like
so
you need to use it deliberately, like when you're about to take the high
yes,
mark.
yes, good pointer. So don't just like repop it because it just went off. Like make sure you waste it on a big, not waste it, use it on a big mark, but not just like get it eaten up by like 2 marks here, 2 marks there. That's not worth it. That damage you can easily just mitigate, by having high HP.
Yeah.
Um, so this is like the basics. I hate to say, but this is like the basics of the fight. And I know it's a lot already, but this is just for Horsemen. It's a very specific boss fight. It is supposed to be very confusing and rotation heavy. I think Giant will kind of at least take over a bit from here and go through a very likely scenario of how this boss fight is going to, go down. Again, this might change, our first kills. I don't want to make anyone, be scared, but it's our first and maybe only attempt at Four Horsemen. I hope people will play their A game, but some people might be afraid, some people might not, might panic or do something they shouldn't be doing. So what Giant is probably gonna present is a in a nutshell and also like perfect world scenario that we hope we're going to achieve. But remember, it's going to be dynamic pieces still. So let's make sure we all understand it by the end of the meeting how this thing works, so we can also be prepared for, oh shit. So just one last note before I hand over to Giant. I will be the only healer that's not going to play a rotation. So all healers are going to be constantly moving. I'll be sitting in safe spot, kind of watching the fight and healing people on safe spot that come in low HP. So I'll be able to direct you. Um, if you come back to safe spot, I can just look at you, be like, oh, you have 3 stacks of this. Okay, so you could potentially, relieve on this guy. So don't just run in somewhere. You could announce yourself as, oh, I can relieve next on Blumo, I could relieve next on Ziliak, but you can also wait for me or Giant to call out, what's needed next. So I'll have the luxury of sitting in safe spot as the only player consistently where I can, direct someone. So let's make sure we communicate in that fight. So you let me know what your status is and I can, send you elsewhere. So my job is more going to be like the logistics of it while, people play the actual fight.
Perfect.
Do you want me to use the same picture as you have here, or should I just?
You can use whatever you have. You can use this one. Do you have it?
No, but I
I'll
just
send it to
draw
you.
normal
No,
paint.
I'll send it to
Otherwise,
you.
it's
That's fine. Let me just quickly message you. I'll send it over. It's
uh,
probably a bit more visual if you use this one instead of.
oh, yeah, I just got a dot. Nothing
Yeah,
else.
I had to message you first.
Let's see. Download, save image. Okay.
Maybe just while you prepare this, Giant, let me just pull up one last thing, because the tanks haven't seen this. I'll just show. Just give me 1 second. Let's go in here. Because I forgot this is perfect. It's the perfect timestamp. So this, and this is again just a rough,
Yeah, this one. Yep.
but this is roughly what the Four Horsemen room looks like in terms of radiuses for the safe spot. So if horsemen are mispositioned, this safe spot, which is this little zone in the middle, changes. So the better we position, the bigger the safe spot, gets. The worse we position, the worse it gets. So obviously this is now visualized, so it looks nice. These horsemen are obviously not fucking, as big as Glove. They'll be deeper in the corners of the room. It's not the full room, but this is roughly what it looks like. This is the idea of the radiuses and how they're going to create the safe spot. So if we would misposition, the zone, gets smaller and people will get hit by Mark, even if the horseman is dead. So maybe just one thing to note as well, the death position of a horseman also matters, because remember, they're going to summon their own spirit and they'll keep casting the marks. So if this guy would be killed here, well, we're fucked. So if he's like just killed somewhere, then the safe spot will change. So keep that in mind as well.
What about Blemo when when you have to navigate in the void zones, then you have to be sure that when she actually dies, she dies close to the corner, or what?
So on this picture here, there is an overlap in between these void zones. So most people will path over here. So unless Blue Mo is completely, even if you would take, okay, if you would need to run through an overlapping area, you will still be fine. On Ziliak, if Blue Mo is dead, the boss fight is almost over. All we have to do is, chill out and sustain and, send people in and out. It's really easy if Ziliak is the last one left. All we have to take care of is the chain lightning. So even if you're running through a overlapping area of marks, yes, you will get the mark by Blue Mo, but you're also on your way out to drop anyways. And there's nowhere else to go for you. So, it's not too big of an issue. I still want you to find a very good spot to kill Blue Mo, whoever is tanking it, but don't stress over too much. It cannot be anywhere here by the stairs, obviously. It should somewhere be in this area back here. But all this is fine. Like you have enough space to work with. Even here would be fine. But don't bring it too, I cannot give you an area where it's the best to do. Like
I can just preface this now. Like this is for you, Storm, because you'll initially take him. He can be
Um,
closer to the safe spot on the initial pull. So you like start him out a little bit closer, and then you wiggle him into the like corner or so.
Yeah, I'm
Just like
thinking of tanking him like where he is now in the picture
yes,
and then
kind
move
of.
in the little
Yeah.
crevice over there because he'll
Yeah.
probably put the voice on me.
Yes,
When
yeah.
No.
the first
No, no,
person.
no, no, no. So void zones are completely random. So void
Oh,
zones, it's just like sand traps on Curionax. He will just, select a player, put a void zone under them. It could be you 10 times in a row. It could be you never.
oh, okay.
It's not bound to any other threat or, it's just
But
random.
doesn't he have to be in a specific range for him to?
Yeah, it's not going to cast it on the safe spot or someone on Cortez. Yes.
No,
Yeah,
no.
so it's either gonna be Stool War or the healers that are nearby.
Yes.
Well,
Yeah,
there's melee
yes.
DPS on the boss as well. So that could
But
be.
that's after a long time.
Yeah. On pull, it should. Yeah, on pull, it will be you. Sorry, I misunderstood this. Yes, Dover. So you could start him. Yes, you could start him a bit further out to put the first void zones, like, somewhere further out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just
Yeah.
and then you just wiggle him into the like
Yeah.
place.
Yeah.
Where
So
is
I'm
a
gonna
brush to?
stop
Do
here.
we have like a timer on the voice zones? Like how often does he cast them?
I can't remember, but
I can see if I can look it up for you.
let's say every 6 seconds because I think it's twice as fast as Meteor or so. It
Okay.
looks reasonable or so. Just making the estimation for it.
So apparently the GCD is 1.5 seconds of that ability. I'm not sure if that's also ability cooldown. Probably not. At least on Wowhead. Oh wait, this is SOD shit. Let me see if I can find something better. Let me scroll down to Ziliak here. To Blomo, sorry.
I'll start sharing here.
So it has a 12-second cooldown, apparently.
Also basically like the mark. So
Yep.
maybe he casts them like the meteor right on
Could be.
mark.
Yep, could
Yeah.
be.
Yeah.
Okay, let's
Are
watch
we?
Giant Stream.
So
Mhm.
just one question, Franny. How do you want to do the initial pull? You want to do this one or you want to do this one?
So everybody is saying that the second option is better because the DPS are closer to the boss, right? So we could just like hack the left with the melee DPS.
This you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
I
But
think
this is
for
for a tank.
us, yeah, I think this normal one. I think I don't know if what we want to do here, but this normal one should be good for us. Like,
Yeah.
do we need like 2 more seconds in the beginning? Most likely not. We have more DPS than Soul of Iron. and Death Wish, like will
Yeah.
beat the timers, like no problem DPS wise. So I think just if you want to have a, you know, normal pull, we'll do the straight head on.
Let's just
I'd
take
say.
this apart, Giant. When you say normal pull, are you referring to the tanks or are you referring to everybody in that corner?
A normal pull, then I mean we just like take them straight on. We don't do this like position here on the left.
So what we can do, that's why I'm asking this question, is we can split it. So we can have a hunter shoot your horseman at least towards you while the melees are already positioned down there so that they don't have to walk up and down. So melees
True.
could just,
Yeah, melees
yeah,
can like
exactly,
go
just
here,
wait for you
but
and you just
but
walk towards the
tanks.
horseman, bring it back.
So, but then tanks they position like here then.
Yes.
But like whenever these guys are gonna start walking, we all here just have to be fucking ready for if someone ninjas. Like that's the important thing.
Yeah, but let's not. Maybe let's
Yeah.
decide on one option now, Giant, so we
Yes.
don't. So, I would like all tanks to just walk up to the horseman whilst the melee
Mhm.
can, because we have 20 seconds before anything happens.
Yeah.
So we have 20 seconds of complete safe time, whereas no meteors, no, I don't know, chain lightnings and nothing. So all tanks should just walk up to their respective horsemen. We can maybe shoot, you know,
Yes.
Mograine and Cortas out for you and Dazo, and then Pike and Storwell can pick up Blumo and Zeliek.
Mhm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I think the
Yeah,
melee
yeah, but
DPS
for
could just,
like Stool
yeah,
or and Pike, it's
yes,
straight
yes,
straight on and then
yes,
just take it to your
yes,
corner. So for
absolutely.
you guys, it's not like any thing spectacular or so in the beginning. Just
Yeah,
charge them into your like respective position.
yeah,
If it's this way or this way, doesn't matter. It's 20 seconds. You'll have time to just position.
Yep.
Uh, yeah, and for me, I'm just gonna take him down here. Morgan is gonna go here. So we'll end up with this like initial position here, but we're gonna have Giant here. We're gonna have Baitu. We're gonna have Potrachin here. We're gonna have Dazo here, Stolor here, and Pike here. Like this is the initial like where people will be located.
yeah.
And then let's just say for simplicity, on Mark 2, when the meteor's out, you just do this walk here, Potrachin, up here. That's your go.
On what, which, how many marks on Pike should be when I go to
Oh,
replace him?
it doesn't matter. Like when you yourself have 2 here, then you leave. So
Yes, I
you'll
leave. I
go.
go to the safe spot. Then, when Pike had how
Just
many
walk
marks?
straight to him. Just walk straight to him.
Ah,
You don't care about the safe spot really. You just pass right through, come up here, pick him up.
He has a
Don't
okay.
he has a
stop here.
Instantly, okay?
Yeah, yeah,
Instantly,
yeah.
yes. Uh-huh.
Yes,
but
yes.
Giant, just explain to me why we want to do that, because we could potentially have Pike take more marks and Protection sit on safe spot for, I don't know, 20 seconds.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Like if you want to, that is fine. But like the way it's gonna work out if he does it instantly means that when Baitu is gonna come up here, he'll relieve Stulwar, but Stulwar is the one that's gonna need to relieve Potrachin here, and you don't want him to delay this. That's why you want him to just book it over instantly.
Okay, fair enough.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
so that's
don't
just,
like
yeah,
hesitate. It's better to just like slap it out in the beginning because the faster we get the ball rolling, the more we'll like have me available, Daso available, and we'll be able to do this simpler. So at Mark 2, Potrachin, you're gonna go up here.
Okay. Then, when I had 3 marks, I should say I had 3 marks, or what?
You probably don't need to say anything because the one guy that's gonna relieve you is Stolwar. Whenever Baitu comes here and taunts for him, he's gonna just walk over here to you. So you should not need to say anything, actually. And you're just gonna get relieved by Stolwar.
yeah.
And I think you should like mark us tanks with like symbols so we can easily see that someone is
Mhm.
coming to relieve us. then you kind of know safety is on the way for you.
Okay.
And if this like delays and so on, you know that you have the potion to use.
Yes.
Um,
Okay.
so
The next step for me, I should stay in safe spot,
yeah,
or I
so
can
when
DPS the blue mare.
let's see, I'm just checking here. So to keep it simple for you, you come up here, take this. Whenever Stool War comes here and picks you up, you're just gonna come back here. You can go up here in DPS, but I think for Frenny, you just want to keep him here.
Yeah.
So you're just
Okay.
gonna stand here and wait until Frenny tells you to do something.
Okay.
The question is, and this is very individual, is what are the other tanks doing in this scenario, right? If Giant is already freed of Cortez, so if Cortez is dead and Giant is free, he's walking over to Mogren, right? So Dazo will be walking back to safe spot. So Dazo is also acting as relief after Mogren is dead. This is all a bit, tough to get into one picture what's gonna happen at the same time on the boss fight. I would agree with Giant. It's easiest if you just come back to me to safe spot protection, and I can decide who, like, do I send you to DPS on Blemo or do I just keep you as a tank?
Same for
Yeah.
me, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You just stand here whenever you get the relief pike.
I'd rather have you guys be with me on safe spot, in case I don't think we'll lack DPS. I don't think one additional player is gonna significantly increase our kill time. I think gonna make it, if anything, it's gonna make it unsafer because you might run into a boss getting marks where we want you to relieve later. So I think it's better to sit with me on safe spot and do nothing, and then check, okay, can we relieve somewhere instead of just having to
Yep, yep.
DPS. That one player is not gonna make or break the fight.
Okay, so after the initial pull, we actually just after the initial assignment, we just run back to you. So when
Your path is a bit different by
yeah, I go to Stulwar after we kill Kotas. But
I'll
then
take
let's
you.
say
I'll take you soon.
Okay,
But
sure,
for
sure,
you,
sorry.
Potachin, just to reiterate, you're doing this walk up here, and whenever Stool comes here, relieves you, you come back here, and you're safe, and you wait for Frenny to tell you
Okay.
what the next step is.
Mhm.
Your job is to DPS here, and then you're tanking up here, and then you come back, and your job is basically done. Like then you say, "Good job, I did my part." Let's
Nice.
then take by 2.
Oh, wait, I think he had a question.
Okay. Yeah. Did you have a question, Potachin?
No, nice. I
Okay.
said nice. Okay, I got it.
Yeah.
I'll be
Cool.
leaving you for 1 minute. I'll be right back. But you can
Yep.
go.
So now I'm gonna change this one, the mark here. It's gonna be 3, most likely for you by 2. It's 3 or whenever Cortez is dead. Then you're just gonna walk up here, taunt this guy.
What if we get
And
to
you
4 before he's dead?
same thing applies. If it's
Oh,
4
is it-
here, you're just gonna go up
I
here.
just
and
go when Cortez is dead.
When he's dead, you just book it up here, taunt for
Yep.
Stolwar.
Yep.
And then you tank him here, like avoid the void zones and so on. Whenever you see Dazo and he gets the taunt here,
Mm.
your job is to go back here.
Okay.
If this guy is alive, you come in here and you press execute until he dies.
Okay, so you don't want me to taunt him of you?
Unless I have like 6, 7 marks.
Okay.
You're gonna taunt. I'll
Yeah, but
just
you're just
call
gonna
for you
call
to
it.
taunt. Yes.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. Sure.
But you just come over here, finish this guy. When that is done, you come back here and you stand here until Frenny tells you otherwise.
Yes.
So that is this is your path. You're not like this guy. You most likely are gonna tank him for like 3 marks, maybe. Daza's gonna come here quite quickly because I just need to walk here, taunt, and then he needs to walk here. So it might be only 2 marks. It's not a long time. But you just need to do this relief.
Yeah, sure.
Is it clear?
Yep.
Okay. Stolwar?
Yep.
For you have this initial path. You place him up here, and you're fine to have him like further down this path on pull And whenever like you snake him in here, kind of, you know. We want to keep this spot here open for when he dies, kind of. So just snake him around here until Baitu comes. And you are willing to potion, like for Mark 5. Let's say Baitu is really unlucky with a taunt resist into a taunt resist into a taunt resist. Then you have to decide, like, okay, am I gonna potion Mark 5 or is it 4? And if like you see another taunt resist, then you're probably in the shield wall territory. And if you'll have improved shield wall because you'll respec, so you'll shield wall so you can tank 2 marks with shield wall. Correct?
Yeah.
So worst case comes to worst, you'll be here like for 7 or 8 marks. That's a long time. But not likely that's gonna happen. But just so you're aware that that might happen, but you have the tools to stay alive here.
Yeah.
But whenever Baitu comes up here, he taunts this guy off, then you just come back here, do this path, and relieve Potrachin that will be standing here.
Yeah.
Then you'll come back here whenever Daiso comes over and taunts for you. Daiso will always come and taunt for you unless something goes wrong.
Yeah, but we'll still have. So I stay with Ziliak till Daiso comes or someone else if.
Yes, if worse comes to worst,
Yeah.
yes. But it's most likely gonna be Daiso that's gonna come here and taunt for you. He's taunting, like Baito is taunting for you here, but after that point, it's gonna be Daiso that's taunting for you here.
Yeah.
Okay.
Then I'll go safe spot right after Daiso
Then
comes.
you go safe spot, and whenever your stacks are dropped here, you come back here and you taunt again. And then we do the dance like with 3 people, like you, me, Daiso. We can do these 2 guys forever. But if Frenny tells you to go in here and you have blue mo stacks, you have to say, I can't. Send someone else.
Yeah.
That is the important thing for you to
Exactly.
notice.
Just tell me to fuck off.
Yes. That's always true.
I just want to like this is actually a good point by Giant, like in a like from my perspective, like don't trust me blindly ever. This boss fight is just as confusing to me as it is to you. I have, like, again, I can sit in safe spot and have a better overview than most of you. But then again, this is going to be stressful for all of us. So don't just blindly trust me when I tell you to do something. You know, be like, okay, cool. Can I actually go do it? Yes. Okay, let's go.
Yeah. But at the point when you will be like back here, Stulwar, Pike will have no stacks of Blemont. He's free. Potrachin is also free. I am free, and so on. Like it's many people that are gonna be free when these 2 are dead. We're gonna have a lot of people here ready. So it's not like we need to like stress about it or so. Whenever these 2 guys are dead, we can like take a breather or so, like theoretically, because these 2 we can fight for a long, long time.
Yeah.
So Daiso's basically always gonna come and taunt for you unless like something is like a taunt resists here and there. But like after you are here and you come back, you watch your own mark stacks until Blumeau stacks are dropped. You're not ready. That is your like biggest like thing to take note of, and the path here for you.
Yeah.
You do this path.
Yeah.
And did I talk about you, Pike, on?
No, but
okay.
I think it's clear. I think I'm waiting for Potrachin, and then I go the path to the safe spot, and then I wait for Frenny's orders.
Yes.
That's yeah.
And I'll just, for information, I'll tell you what Daiso will be doing. He'll be tanking this guy for as long as it takes until I get here. Then he is gonna go over here, taunt for you, Stalwart. Or taunt for Baitu. Baitu is gonna be
Yeah.
in this corner at this point. So he's gonna come over here, taunt here. And then he's gonna do the same as you did here, Stalwart. And then he's gonna come back here and be after you. So we're gonna like form a queue here almost. In this way.
Okay, so on Blamo, you're gonna have me, you're gonna have Baitu, then you're gonna have Deizo,
And then
the
me.
Deizo is gonna be you after Deizo, right?
I'm always gonna follow Deizo wherever
Oh,
he goes.
yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
But once these two guys are dead, we're kind of in the clear. So yeah.
Yeah, we'll have like
Um,
6 tanks for 2 targets. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And like, it's not a DPS race when we are here or here. It's just control the fight until they die.
Yep.
The DPS race is down here for these. That's why you need to blow your cooldowns here, both Patachen and Baitu.
Four Horsemen hype. Boop boop.
Yep.
We can do that.
And
Recklessness
remember,
hype.
like,
Boop boop.
remember, GSPP is your best friend in this fight.
For
So-
me as a druid, can I
Yeah.
GSPP and power shift to when I tank that boss? Do you know that, Franny? In a millisec, he hits me when I'm like shifting out.
I
Yeah.
would not. I would not.
You
Like,
would-
think
you
it's your
should
best
use
friend,
it. Like, you should probably use it if you're about to take a mark when you're walking out and it's high.
Okay. Yeah. Then,
So like
then,
when you're about to leave here, just fucking use your potion,
Okay.
I'd say. Because you're gonna just sit here for
Yeah.
a long time.
Yeah.
You
I'm
can
waiting.
basically, like when this taunt has happened and you see, okay, Mark is gonna hit in 3 seconds, you just go here, you use the GSPP.
But can't I just use one, pre-pot it, and then
Yeah, we're all gonna have GSPP
Okay,
pre-potted,
okay.
every
Okay.
one of us.
Okay.
And GFPP also for
Yep.
people.
as well? Okay.
Yeah, it's like a lot of protection potions that are going to be pre-potted, but for this one, like GSPP is the one you're going to reuse or so.
Yeah.
This goes for everyone.
I have to farm those.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
GFPP.
Yeah.
And then GSPP.
We'll be
And-
handing out GSPPs for Four Horsemen.
Okay. Yeah,
Yeah. Don't even bother with it.
Nova has.
You
those.
can try to get one if you want to. I'm just saying, like, don't even bother. It's so little compared to the damage you will take if it actually chains.
Yeah.
Remember, this is not a normal chain lightning that will just increase, by 500 every time it bounces. This is I don't know the mathematical term. Giant could help me out, but it's like it's doubled by per bounce.
Mhm.
So after like I don't know, person 6 or 7, people just get one shot.
Yep.
And there's no protection
Exponential.
potion in the world that can protect you from that. So get one if you want to. I'm not gonna gatekeep you from it, but also don't bother too much with it.
And you all have 3 healers on you in each corner at all times. Like,
Nice.
Yeah.
their only job is to keep you alive, because if they don't, then the raid dies. So,
Yeah.
You can find comfort in that it's their job to keep you alive. It's in their own best interest, actually.
Yeah.
Mhm.
But yeah, that is. I think that's almost pretty much it, right?
I think so. And still, you respec between Gothic and this fight.
Yeah, I was just searching for a talent spec to see how the spec would look for the product.
Do improve taunt and improve shield wall. Otherwise, I don't think we have to care. I don't know what's good, but those are the important ones.
Yeah, I'll just build one and send you a link.
Yeah, we can look at it if you want or so.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you have any like questions or so, then just feel free to reach out. It's probably gonna feel like a cakewalk. Like It's just we have to prepare for all the different scenarios and so on.
Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
for you to note, like, how long does it take to do the walk from here to here or here to here or so? I looked at the logs and I think this walk here is about 15 seconds, same as this one. This one here is about 20 seconds. So you know approximately how long it takes for you to come over or so.
Are you using the movement speed enchant on your boots or
Doesn't
HP?
stack
yeah,
with CG.
Doesn't
Yeah.
stack with CG, no.
Oh, it doesn't. Oh, okay, I didn't know that. Okay, then
Hey, then you have a stam enchant to do pike.
Yeah, then I got stem. I got some.
Ah, okay, okay.
It doesn't
Ah,
matter.
all right.
Okay, nice.
If
I'm ready.
this way, like we tanks will stand here. Frenny might decide to place DPS here or so.
So range DPS is probably sorry.
Frenny's dying.
Yeah,
Yeah.
slowly but surely.
Frenny, Petri or Frenny?
Petri.
I'm on Mark 10.
No, DSPP.
Petri.
So the DPS players, casters are gonna be by the pillar. So caster DPS is gonna walk to safe spot and position from there with the healers. Melee DPS is gonna be positioned, where we showed earlier by the wall on the left, so they can just have their
So
camp
you'll have DPS camp like here somewhere.
a bit further up. But yeah,
Like range DPS here.
yes,
Or
yes.
or DPS, and then like melees, they can also be here, but they walk with me like when I shove them back here. I'll show you there is it here? It looks like this, right? In the room. So you get some like spatial awareness for this. And we can just watch because how they pull here, it might look different for us or so. They ninja pull here on this side. Like now this guy is pulled, but we can just walk up here. A hunter might shoot for us here or here. Stool War, you just pick it up here. Pike, you pick it up here. Like whatever is fastest to your respective corner. And I'm just gonna hit play here for the DPS camp stack, which is gonna be like Baitu and Potrachen. And I'm gonna ask you here, Fanny, soon. Are we gonna stand like this?
Yeah.
Okay. So this picture you're probably gonna have to send then to DPS player like camp. Like this is how we're gonna play it. So I'll be on the side here and the rest just here. Okay.
Mhm.
And we can see the range DPS camp here. Meteor has already hit, probably. Now the shield wall slams. When do you press a bit cooldowns on this guy, Fernie?
I'd probably have to speak to Hansuk around this.
Yeah.
I think I read somewhere that it's probably, I think, on shield wall to burn through shield wall quickly.
Mm-hmm.
Because you need to make sure that you burn the first shield wall so he doesn't trigger the second, right? That's the whole idea.
Yeah.
So you want to push with the first shield wall, so that's where most damage, even though it's mitigated, is where the hardest push kind of has to come in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I can ask Hansuk again. I think it's a good question for him. He's way better in cooldown management.
So whatever you come up with, Baitu, you'll do the same. Potrachun, you'll do yours a bit earlier because you're leaving earlier also.
On the second mark.
Yeah, you're leaving on the second mark, but now we're talking about DPS things. And if they say we're gonna use abilities when shield wall hits, for you, you're gonna probably use recklessness on mark 1. Whenever the 1 pops up, you'll use yours because you're leaving on mark 2.
Okay.
So for you,
But
you
isn't-
just use Wreck on Mark 1.
Isn't Fred gonna be an issue then?
Nah. He's
Okay.
he's gonna leave anyway, and I can taunt still.
Oh,
and he
yeah,
can
sure.
stop. So
Sure.
no, so it's gonna be fine. So whenever the first mark hits here, here's probably when you'll use your cooldowns, Patrachen. Like Death Wish
Yes,
is
okay.
probably on pull for you also because it's 30 seconds or so. Like whenever horse is in the corner or like now-ish, you can use Death Wish. By two, you'll do whatever the DPS players are gonna do the same. But for you, Patrachen, you probably have Death Wish now, and now you should wreck. Because this is Mark 1, and you'll leave on Mark 2. And Recklessness
Yes, okay.
lasts 15 seconds, right? So
Yep.
you have your own like idea of when you use your cooldowns, Patrachen.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, so you just ignore whatever the DPS players are saying. You use it when you have because you have to leave early, right?
And don't
Okay.
get hit by a meteor.
Giant, can you go a little back?
Yeah. Where do you want?
It's
Pull
okay.
or
Play it a little after pull.
okay? I'll just play it now.
Can you go full screen, please, Giant?
Okay.
Thank you.
Now it's doing this weird like scroll thing, maybe.
Because I see Void Zone timer. Yeah, it was
Down there,
already
yeah.
like 15 seconds after pull. The first Void Zone timer.
Void zone. It seems to be a 15-second timer or so, like a long.
Yeah.
Are you gonna decide to use rogue cooldowns on this guy and warriors on next, or how do you?
No, half.
Okay, yeah. And we are not doing this move here. We're just walking straight over. But this is not for any of us. Like just me, basically.
Yeah, I was
Or we
gonna
can
ask,
see here,
why did they go safe zone?
like they can, because they want to like resist, like skip a mark count, or so.
Mm.
But we're just gonna skip it and full send it. Like
He
I'd
just
rather
shield
get this
wall.
die.
He just shield walled. Yeah.
All these have shield wall.
Twice.
They have
Oh.
2 shield walls even, and we want to burn them. Like the first guy and this guy do not get to use their second shield wall because we're
Yeah.
gonna
Ah.
kill them so fast through shield wall.
Yeah, so they're not gonna trigger. They have like an internal cooldown. If we push through their HP quick enough, the second shield wall is not gonna trigger.
Hmm.
So that's why we use the cooldowns in the way we do.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Like honestly, I think in theory this sounds a lot harder than what it's going to be, when we actually do it. But it's important for us to understand how these details work in case something does not line up the way we want it to, right? So as you can see here, look at how fast the first 2 horsemen die, and these guys don't even have gear. Yes, they are alliance, but their gear is fucking shit.
This here is the safe spot. And Franny,
Yeah.
you're gonna mark yourself with like, I don't know, star or something, I
Yeah.
guess. So you can just be there so people know where the safe spot is.
Yeah.
And he's gonna come over, and we see Blumont here now that they like move it here and there. But you can like start with him around here, Stool, and just snake him around here. Like you have basically this space here to work with, and it's better to have him further out in the beginning and then just shove him in to like by to whenever you pick him up, you're like okay to take him further in and so on. Like just snake him around here.
Yeah.
Yeah. But these void zones you have to avoid when you like walk in, walk out, and so on.
How much damage
And
did they do? Like 4, 5, and every
yeah,
Four
time
to
for
you,
five
5.
k.
Yeah.
every second.
Yes.
Okay.
It's a dot, so it's a lot. You have to walk out of it.
Also, one thing to point out, you obviously also have to reposition for DPS, right? So not only make sure that you are safe, also make sure that the DPS that are going to follow you to DPS, are in a good position if you're tanking this.
But at this point, don't panic about it. Like I don't fucking care about the DPS here. Like we'll kill this eventually, Franny.
Yeah.
That's for the min max.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is like, melees are in such a what's the word? They have such tunnel vision on DPSing
Yes.
that if you drag them into a void zone because you mispositioned the boss, some people might just, die when Mark and
Yeah,
void
kill
zone hits.
themselves.
So
And here we can like see how these guys don't really know what they're doing, like down here now. So here, it's Giga mispositioned by everyone else. So for us, just stand here.
Yeah.
Like Frenny's gonna find the spot where he takes no mark damage, and you can just be on him if you want to.
Maybe Frenny got a mark as well for that.
Yeah,
for
he
the
will mark
Yep.
him up like with star or something like this, and will mark us tanks because we all know where the horses are gonna be. But it's
Yeah.
nice to see whenever you have a relief mark person
Yeah.
marked incoming.
It's
for
also
you.
nice for me to see which tank is currently on safe spot. Who can I look at in terms of potential relief for other tanks? So
Yep.
we'll all be marked up.
Can I be Skull?
No.
I think marking the Four Horsemen is not really necessary.
No,
I mean,
absolutely not. I
if they're
agree.
running around, it's already a lost fight. So yeah, I don't.
Yep.
They should be in their corners.
So now he has taken the blue mall marks.
Just one thing. This is just for us now. I think I've talked to Giant and Dazo. Please on pull unless absolutely necessary. Don't press taunt. The reason I say this is I'm not suspecting anyone in this guild to actually trying to grief us, but you never know. I don't want a tiny violence, so just make sure you keep your taunt. Don't just randomly taunt it because it's one of your habits or whatever. So just keep your taunt, auto attack, heroic strike, whatever you need to do in order to get threat, but don't just randomly press taunt.
Okay.
Okay.
Again, I don't suspect anyone. I don't think it's gonna happen, but yeah, you never know.
Do you want us tanks to do a like a mighty rage potion logout also? Because then we can definitely like full send all
Yes.
rage into
Yes,
them.
yes, absolutely.
So,
If we get
yeah,
it
then
green,
we're gonna have like a logout.
kick him out of a group. If you see it, like I see, like for example, somebody taunts me off and try to drag Celiac into the group, and I taunt back and I say blah blah blah, grief us. You put him out of the group, like he gets potted off, or how do we?
It's gonna take a minute, so you could retaunt a
Yeah,
lot
I
of
know, I
times.
know. I can try it
Yeah.
the sixth time again, but yeah,
Yeah.
maybe like this. Okay, I hope not.
I don't think it
Neither
will.
of us hopes. No.
I'm just saying, like,
I don't think so.
That's more friendly being paranoid than anything else, probably.
Yes.
So
Yes.
Are you? Okay. Yeah.
like if that happens, well played to them, whatever.
We don't got any big streamers in our guild. I think maybe.
Luther Bliet.
Yeah.
What you do? What you do?
Moo, your mom is secretly actually Giant Forge, who is
Yeah.
Yes.
gonna grief us.
Oh
Mhm.
shit.
That's me.
No, what's the guy that tried to grief you, Piranha? Was it you?
Was it me?
The guy that tried to grief somebody in Silithus on the. Yeah. What is his name? W Moose? Was it W Moose? Yeah. That guy that said I have a lot of time on my hands now that you gotten that you fucked me over. And he was trying to re-level Horde. Like that is the.
Damn.
Yeah, anyways.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, let's hope not.
Let's kind of just open it up again. I think we all have a good understanding, but is there any very specific questions or anything about this fight that we haven't covered or that you think is unclear or?
When they all dead, do they still have the zone? No.
No.
Right? They, okay.
Then it's finally over.
Okay.
When Blue Maw is dead, don't freak out because melees are gonna probably log out. But you all in this meeting, everyone stays.
Okay.
Just
Yeah.
for the like potential that Frenny needs to send you in and so on.
So J-Law and Life is Smooth dies here, right? How do
Yes.
they die? Too many marks?
They're not in safe spot and they get
And
additional marks because they're out of.
If you look here, like they're standing in this zone where Morgraine was.
Ah.
So
So
they
they
didn't,
take-
because it's 75 seconds, they didn't drop their initial marks yet because it's very early in the boss fight. And they're still standing in the area where the ghost is still spamming marks and they just die from mark damage.
I see.
'Cause
But
they're
with
not on the
all
safe
you
side.
guys' paths, you can like you won't take this like extra increase unless it's useful. Therefore, you need to say, "I can't go Blue Maw yet."
Yeah.
When you come back from Celiac, you have to drop Blue Maw, and then you say, or like you don't have to say, you can just like if Frenny tells you and you're like not ready yet, Blue Maw stacks, or so.
Mhm.
So that is the important part. Like when we're switching basically between Celiac and Blue Maw, you have to just like know I can't go in yet on this guy because I have their mark still. So yeah. All right.
I have one more question.
Of what?
Can I get
Okay.
corrupted Espring if it drops?
XD Nexus Shard.
No! I want to go to Light's Hope Chapel and fight them all.
Nice.
I think
Yeah, go for it.
that's it. I would just say that I think I'm pretty sure what I need to do.
Cool. Potachin, you good as well?
I have no questions.
Good.
Got it. Okay.
Perfect. Nice.
Okay, nice.
And I don't think we like comms wise with this path set, not much needs to be said unless like things are going wrong somewhere. It can be like resist Blue Maw handover or something like this, you know.
Yeah.
Because otherwise we'll be fine. Like after the two guys are dead, then we can talk more, probably. Because it's gonna be most likely me calling like Cortez dead, and then people know what they need to do wherever they are, like and so on. Because the chain will like work automatically in our favor. And the only time we will need to like communicate more is like when it's only Blue Maw and Celiac left. To know like who has what marks and how many and so on. And also like you can click on other people and see, okay, this guy has he's gonna get dropped on his marks before me, so he'll be in queue before me, and so on. So yeah.
Yeah. Would you guys be okay with me wrapping up Four Horsemen now because I have two small things for Resuvius and Gothic?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sure.
Okay, so this is going to be very quick. Remember on Resuvius, and maybe Giant, you can just, while we have the video open, just maybe go to Resuvius here. They play it very differently anyways, but I talked about this in the normal meeting that we had with everyone in the prep meeting. Just roll the clip and so here on Pole, again, this is mind control Pole, right? But the understudies that are not being mind controlled, so Cross, Blue, and what's the last mark here? Moon. So these guys on Pole have to be immediately picked up by you. And then where the position, like where Resuvius is now, is not going to be the tank position, but yeah, where Giant just did the little, yeah, maybe not even that far, but somewhere
Let's
here on the
see
side, you
if
just have to
he
off tank them. It doesn't really matter where exactly,
Mhm.
as long as
Just
you
like
keep them.
here somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to be
But
in line of sight for these priests to mind control.
Yes, that's the important thing.
So you need
So
to
rather
like
have them a bit
be.
further out than too far in.
They should be like here
Yes,
somewhere.
down there is the spot I like. Yes.
But this is only for Pike, Stool War, and Days, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because
This is
I
not for-
most likely am just gonna fucking stand here with my alt, and if shit hits the fan, I'm just gonna AoE like AoE taunt lip, and we're gonna
Yeah.
drop dummies and shit.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So this is just for those three. Can you also go to Gothic, please?
Yeah.
So for Gothic, we also need some Fury off tanking. It's not gonna be, you know, anything crazy. So I haven't fully decided on the split yet, but remember there's living and undead side. So this video here is just living side. This is free tanks. So most likely it's going to be giant because boss will spawn here first. It's also gonna be pike, I'm pretty sure. And then the last tank I could think of probably a Fury tank because Dazo is certainly going to be main tanking on the other side. So here on this side, so this is for Giant, Pike, and well, whoever is going to be last, I'll decide that, you know, tomorrow maybe. Just need to you understand that it's stationary, so the mobs always spawn on this plateaus that you see, and you can just roll the clip here so people can see it. But these mobs always spawn on this plateau. They never fucking spawn anywhere else. So this is always static, never dynamic. So whoever's tanking here needs to understand mobs only spawn here. For the undead side, you see these souls flying. You just saw the souls leaving. There's one back there, this big blue lightning flying across the room. So this is the souls of the living mobs that are going to spawn on undead. On undead, if you're tanking on undead side, there's a couple of bone piles these mobs can spawn from. So the spawns are dynamic. Wherever the soul is flying to, this is where a mob is going to spawn. So for you as a tank, it's important to understand that, you know, just if you see a soul flying into your room on undead, you know where it's going to spawn, but you have to move around a lot.
Okay.
So by 2 protection, this is interesting for you. Probably you're very likely to be on undead. Stalwart as well. I think you're also going to be on undead.
Stalwart Dazo and either or of Patahan
Yeah,
or
exactly. So it's Giant Pike on one side and Stalwart Dazo on the other. And then protection by 2, you can be, you know, dynamic. You could be on either side. You don't really have to main tank, but you know, it's just getting the mobs off of casters and people that are very squishy. Just one last note for the mobs on undead side. So these guys here, they have, you know, the intercepts and stuff. The only really dangerous one is the intercept for a caster. So these guys here have to intercept this one. This mechanic is dangerous for casters. So just make sure to follow these guys. Otherwise, it's pretty much a tank and spank on living. On undead side, there's horses. The horses are not like high priority targets, but they have a war storm. So just make sure to drag them out of people because they're going to AoE stun. Okay. So undead, remember, horses AoE stun. But I'll repeat all that before we actually pull the boss. So you don't have to memorize all now. Just want you to, you know, give you a heads up. And then otherwise for tanking, there's nothing much to pay attention to here. Like just pick a target and, you know,
Thank you.
these mobs
But
die very quickly.
For living, you're gonna call Shackle if needed also, right? And then we have
Yes.
to stop DPS on
Yes.
that target.
Yes.
So if you're tanking, what is it, a horse? Or what is the target again you want to shackle?
It doesn't matter. As long as we delay, it can be anything. Could be a Death Knight as well.
Yeah, okay.
Horses
then
always have to die, so we are unlikely to ever shackle a horse.
Mhm.
It's probably going to be a Death Knight because horses are just going to get nuked.
Yeah, okay. So if you're tanking a Death Knight on living, then and they call Shackle, you have to just stop hitting it.
Yeah, I'm not hitting.
Well, that's luckily not Daisy being on this side then.
But yeah, this is just 2 short notes. Nothing more here from a tanking perspective. It's really a tank and spank for 4.5 minutes, making sure undead doesn't get overrun.
Nope.
Cool. I think
Okay.
we can wrap this up unless there's questions. Yes. Target dummy flower. Oh, this one from DME, you mean? Don't know. So I want people
Feel
to be max
free.
range here, to not
Yeah.
be, you know, random targets. I don't think. I mean, yeah, I've heard different things. Some people say they can one-shot people. I've not really seen that happen, but I don't want to, you know, be proven wrong. So we'll play it safe. Maybe have some hunter pets parked there as well. But hunters are also really good on undead, so the split's gonna determine what we have at hand.
Did he have a time or phase 2? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, it's a fixed time. I think it's 4.5 minutes.
Okay.
But yeah.
So when he shuts up, we just kill him. Cool.
Yeah. Days on Giant need to like know how this works. He's gonna teleport over after 15 seconds, join the other side. Then if we down to 30%, he's gonna open the gate. So at 30 is the trigger for the door. Then everybody can DPS him. Cool.
Cool. Easy.
Easy boss, easy life.
Yeah, sounds
Yeah.
good.
Free loot.
Prep your target dummies on Vesuvius. Like, actually hover the target dummy while you're pressing other things. Like,
Just one thing, Giant. I'm not sure if we're gonna min max it or like one thing I'm afraid of. I just thought of it is
afraid.
flasks and stuff on Four Horsemen pull for Fred.
Flasks?
Yeah, like diamond flask with like high PI stuff, so that people can't get their target threat if, you know, somebody else is using something that's causing too much rage. Do you know what I mean? Like tanks among each other. Because Pike doesn't really have anything equivalent to a diamond flask. He cannot generate as much threat
I'm
on
not
pull.
diamond flasking. I don't
Okay.
think anyone else is diamond
Okay,
flasking.
good. Yeah, then let's just agree to not do it.
Daiso has Kiss. I have Kiss. Stole War. You don't, but I don't know what trinkets you're
I'm
gonna
not
use.
thinking of using diamond flags, to be honest.
No. And then we're fine. Like.
Yep.
And as DPS warriors, they probably don't diamond
I think
flask.
DPS warriors are gonna use Seal and Hutch.
Yeah, I mean they're not. Yeah, the fight is 6 minutes, so they can't
Yeah,
switch anything.
Yeah, what will not make any sense to wear
Yeah.
trinkets with active trinkets.
I just want to make sure you all get initial threat and that there's no DPS, you know, no AoE bullshit or some like anything interfering with your threat on pull, so we can
Mhm.
drag everything safely into, you know, each corner.
I don't know if we have chickens up, maybe. I don't know. But we maybe should not use them then.
Chickens on pole, you mean? Or
Yeah, chickens on bull.
I don't really know how chickens work, so
me neither.
They do
Looks like-
around 2k damage for you, so that's gonna be a bit threat. But I don't know.
For you, Franny, I have. But we can take that after this meeting. It's for like healer things and so on, and raid leading. Actually, raid leading things.
okay.
No. But if we're done, then we can wrap it up and people are
Yeah.
free.
Let's wrap it.
It's a wrap.
Cool. Well then, thank you guys for coming. I hope this makes sense. If it doesn't, or if you have any questions coming up, then just please, you know, message me, message Gianty, tank specific things.
One question actually: should we use Gift of Arthas or not?
Yes.
Yep.
Thanks.
And don't try this mocking into AoE taunt thing.
Nope.
Like,
Yeah.
it's
Also no greater stone shield. Like don't
Yeah.
out of habit press greater stone shield here.
Yeah.
We can have
Yeah,
a double pre-pot if we want to go giga sweaty. We can have a rage pre-pot into, you know, greater stone shield pre-pot and then lock out again. So we have no cooldowns on pull. We can do that, but not on pull. You want the GSP.
they don't hit
always.
that hard, so
Yeah.
it's not.
Just we have to agree on one way or the
Yeah.
other.
So, but do me and Patra can do Greater Stone Shield as well on pull?
No, it's not gonna
Okay.
last for the duration.
No.
You'll need to tank anything.
Okay, so get one gift of Arthas and then just be ready to spank some bosses.
Yep.
Cool.
You can get some from me, like if you don't have.
I think I have one lying around somewhere. That's fine. Okay, thanks for tonight.
Cool.
Okay, guys,
Thanks for
thank you.
joining.
See
Yeah,
you
fucking
on
do this.
Wednesday.
See you Wednesday. Let's
Yeah.
fucking go.
Yeah.
Bye.
That's
Bye,
Bye,
it.
guys.
bye.
Have a good night.
Bye. Good
Bye.
night. Bye bye.
See you.
Yeah, I have some raid leading things, Ernie.
Mhm.
So, bye bye.